Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, December the 22nd, 2023. We have a lovely picture, actually a beautiful picture on the front page. It's entitled Heavenly Lights Shine Over Clanwilliam Area. This photo, taken by Tracy Gregorish of Nature and Nurture Photography, depicts the All Saints Anglican Church near Clanwilliam during a night where the northern lights were dancing across the sky. The photo is part of a series that has been named Heavenly Lights and was taken earlier this month. How appropriate for Heavenly Lights with the church. All right, it's an article about Arden Dinner Theatre returning. After a 3-year pause, the Arden Dinner Theatre returned for 2023. The evenings of December 15th and 16th, the crowd enjoyed a delicious roast beef meal and an evening of laughter. So we have quite a few pictures from it. The first one here, the top left, a discussion is had about olives between Harold, played by Brent Hunter, and Sally, played by Jane Angus Wood in It's Dynamite. Here we have a picture of Dennis Orton and others. He kept the crowd entertained with some jokes between skits. Here we have a customer, played by Kevin Paramore, is frustrated that the customer service representative, played by Jean Jackson, isn't paying attention to him in the complaint department. Here we have Mr. Herb Rection, played by Al Paramore, falls to the ground after drinking some tea in the narrator. And here below, his friends and fiancé check on him before they start their discussion on who poisoned him. Oh dear. And one more picture. At the end of the evening, the cast entertained the crowd with a skit called The Truck Got Stuck. That would have been good. I'll come back to this looking back section. Oh, goodness. Now we have a little Santa cartoon here. Here's Santa eating his cookies and drinking his milk at somebody's house. He says, fat-free cookies and soy milk. Looks like someone's getting coal in their stocking. Guess he doesn't like the right kind of foods. All right, Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. His article this week is entitled Truth Can Be Elusive. I am currently reading a book by John Ibbotson titled The Duel, Diefenbaker, Pearson, and the Making of Modern Canada. The book is a great gift from an old friend, Ray Bowman of Moline, Manitoba. We roomed together at the University of Manitoba in the 1960s. We both participated in the U of M debating club, and he claims he never won a debate with me. I believe it. Being the gentleman that I am, I will refrain from that debate. Ray is a good friend who we highly value. The book is, as the title suggests, about John G. Diefenbaker and Lester Pearson, two men who were of similar age and era and who both became Prime Minister of Canada. I met Diefenbaker 2 or 3 times and Pearson once. Both men served in World War I, which was a defining experience for many of our citizens and leaders of the 1940-1970 era. Both men served in government in one form or another through World War II. They were both politicians back in a day when you didn't have to hate someone when you didn't agree with them. On page 108 of the Jacobsen book, there is a defining statement about the Canadian mindset of the post-World War II era. If big government could win the war, maybe big government could better manage the peace. The veterans would want homes to live in, a shot at decent educations, jobs that paid a living wage. The new technologies of war had transformed aviation and ground transportation, communications, energy, and medicine. Planners in Washington and London and Ottawa envisioned a government-directed economy and state-supported services. The Conservatives, while emphasizing the need to preserve market forces in peacetime, were also ready to launch what would become known as the welfare state. Since 1945, Canada has indeed become a welfare state. Nothing seems to happen without tax dollars being added to sweeten the pot. All 3 levels of government, municipal, provincial, and federal tax dollars are being funneled into everything from roads, water and sewer to community rinks and centers. Housing is being subsidized along with electric cars and solar and heat pump systems. Healthcare and education are almost totally government funded. The problem is twofold. Funding anything without tax dollars is almost impossible today, and because the government is entangled in everything, we spend billions of dollars on administering government programs. I read last week that the administration of the carbon tax costs $80 million. I would be surprised if it was that small an amount, knowing how government works. The government tax is reported to amount to about $8 billion per year now. It's an insane tax, as it was supposed to reduce gas sales, and maybe it has, but the market price increases should have done that on its own. The carbon tax is nothing more than a government premise, one of many we live under. The premise is that fossil fuels are warming the earth. Higher prices will reduce consumption. Lower consumption equals a cooler earth. Well, except for all the jet planes being flown every day. Here's an even bigger myth. Cows are causing problems with the environment, more specifically cow burps and farts. There are about 6 million cows in Canada, but in 1800, there were up to 60 million buffalo in Canada. Oops, there goes the government logic again. I apologize to the readers for using the word government and logic in the same sentence. My main message as we approach 2024 is that people need to politely question everything they hear or read. At the end of the day, God is in control, even when it's difficult to see that. Our country, our province, and our region is a great place to live, but we must examine everything we hear or read to know if we are getting the truth. It is only the truth that will keep us and maintain us. Cling to your locale and strive every day to find the truth. And remember, it doesn't always come from government. Merry Christmas, and wishing you and yours a prosperous new year. Next is Homebodies by Rita Friesen, and it's entitled All I Want for Christmas. Ah, how the wish list has changed over the decades. I remember, and I seem to be doing a great deal of that lately, when my list included things like books and puzzles. It never did include a doll or any doll accessories. I wanted things that engaged me, that allowed me to do something, and reading has always been doing something. As a teen, there was the year all I wanted was a pair of skis. That was for a prairie-bound girl with nary a hill in sight and no prospect of heading to slopes. Nope, we used them to ski behind a vehicle and in times of desperation tied to a horse's tail. We didn't have snowmobiles. That would come later. I got a pair of skis, lovely sturdy wooden ones. They came after Christmas and were well used by myself and the neighboring kids. It wasn't often that back then one truly received what they had requested. Progressing to adulthood, the wish list became much more practical, usually household items to replace worn-out units or a wild wish for some gadget that rarely lived up to expectations. I still am not a gadget girl. Well, if the gadget is a hand sander or a stud finder to a circuit tracker, never can have too many of such useful devices. It has become even more complex to compose a wish list. I'm trying to be a minimalist, preparing for the inevitable next stage. What I do appreciate are phone calls and friendly letters. A tray of dainties or a frozen meal can actually excite me. Gift certificates are always accepted and welcomed. Somehow that appears cold and distant when one says it out loud, but the reality is that I have enough things. I long for people connection. Having family and friends stop by to check in or meet for coffee is always a wonderful treat. I don't need crowds of people. That needs to restrict meaningful conversation, and I love to hear stories and ask questions. What does happen when many gather is that I settle back and become the observer. Enjoyable and informative, entertaining and enlightening. I have taken the pressure of what to give to others off the table. I don't. That started many years ago when the grandchildren were young. There weren't presents for holidays, not even birthdays. But in summer, we managed to corral most of the clan for a vacation. That was my gift to all of them, and we made some wonderful memories. Banff, Blue Lake, Drumheller, Sandhills, and Canmore. Back then, we took pictures and developed them, so we have albums of memories. We don't do the holidays. However, I try to find ways to gift the grandchildren with memories throughout the year. My wish list this year includes travel safety for all families, whether flying or driving. My wish is that for those of us who have enough and to spare, that we will share freely. My wish list has highlighted the line that all may be introduced to the real meaning of Christmas. My wish is that we all have a safe and meaningful holiday. Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. It is called Be Not Afraid. We have stepped back in time almost 2,025 years, and we are seated on a quiet hillside a mile or so away from the town of Bethlehem in ancient Israel. We are joining a small group of shepherds who live here, spending their full time looking after their sheep. We sit around a small fire and share a simple meal. Their conversation usually covers familiar topics: where to find good pasture, any sightings of predators, any unfamiliar people hanging around, any injuries to animals, things shepherds talk about. But on this night, they are talking about something else. Their little town has been taken over by representatives of the Roman government. Rome has a new emperor, a man named Octavian, who has been given the title Augustus. He is the most powerful person in the known world, and he has the ego to match his position and power. He wants to know how many people live within the borders of his empire, so he orders a census. Now, in Canada at least, residents with a home, computer, and an internet connection can complete their family's census forms in less than 10 minutes from the comfort of their own homes. But that was not the case in ancient Roman Empire. The Romans took their census every 14 years. Its purpose was to count the number of residents and collect taxes, but Rome stipulated that all residents travel to their ancestral homes to be registered. This was a major disruption and caused intense frustration and anger, especially in territories conquered and now governed by Rome. But tonight, our hosts don't speak of their frustration and anger. For reasons that none of them can explain, they spend their time repeating passages from the Old Testament. They recite words of hope, comfort, and cheer, words that promise a Messiah, a deliverer, a descendant of David who will live forever and rule over a kingdom that will never end. We listen quietly for a time, then we join our voices with theirs, speaking and singing songs of praise to God. We are so engrossed in our worship that we don't see what is going on around us. Other shepherds do. They point to a brilliant light shining above us and then scream and fall to their knees in fear as the face of a heavenly being appears above them. We too are afraid, but then we hear these words, "Be not afraid, be not afraid." Those words assure the shepherds that God has not forgotten them. He has not left them to suffer and die at the hands of the Roman enemies. The prophet's words have been fulfilled. Their Messiah has been born. They can go to Bethlehem and meet him. Over 2,000 years have passed since that day, and not much has changed. People are just as selfish and self-centered as they have always been. They are just as greedy, just as manipulative, and just as prone to extortion, deception, violence, and war as ever. The average person in our world lives with the constant awareness that he or she might be the next victim of a random act of violence, or identity theft, poverty, or a sudden fatal illness. To us and to all those around our world who live with any kind of fear, God sends the same words he sent to the shepherds many years ago. Be not afraid. Trust in me. I will be with you. I will protect you. Be not afraid. May God's peace be with you this Christmas. Now we have a picture of an oddity of nature. This unique two-necked Canada goose was shot by hunter Tony Arhot of Squaw Lake, Minnesota, USA, while hunting at Cruiser Farms in Plumas, Manitoba during this year's fall season. The second neck can be seen hanging below the goose's head. So here's the neck with the head, and here's the second neck growing down below. And here we have one thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up to all home care for their help to fix my leg. Thank you, girls, from Victor Wutke. Here we have a list of those being commemorated and those remembering them, called We Remember Them. Quite a large number of people have donated. Thank you to everyone who supported the memory tree this year. We appreciate the support you give so that we can continue our work in the community. Proceeds from the 2023 memory tree will go to the Carberry North Cypress-Langford Fire Department. This is by the Carberry and Area Community Foundation. During the holiday season, our thoughts turn gratefully to those who have enriched the lives of Carberry and North Cypress-Langford residents through acts of philanthropy. And still on RM of North Cypress-Langford, this is an article by them, by the Banner staff. In a public statement released on December the 15th, 2023, the rural municipality of North Cypress-Langford stated that CAO Trish Fraser has been dismissed from employment with the RM. Both in the statement and by way of a phone call Monday, December 18th to the RM office, the RM is declining further comment at this time An inquiry to the Spruce Plains RCMP was also made by the Neepawa Banner and Press, but that was referred to the Brandon RCMP. A message was left on their answering machine, and the Neepawa Banner and Press is awaiting a reply as of December the 18th. The municipality of North Cypress-Langford issued 3 successive statements concerning the matter as follows. On December 11th, public statement: we are currently aware of a concerning municipal situation and are taking this matter seriously. We are doing an investigation on an employee that has been placed on paid leave pending results of the investigation. Please be assured that the municipality is consulting with professional help concerning this matter. We are taking every measure to be sure we are doing our duty to protect the municipality and its good standing. This was by Dallas Olmsted spokesperson, Deputy Reeve. Then on December the 12th, the public notice: due to unforeseen circumstances, we will be closing the office to public from December 13th to 15th. We apologize for the inconvenience this may cause. During this time, we will not be answering calls, but will check voicemail nightly. If your matter is urgent, please email acao@rmofnorthcypress.ca to set up an appointment. Otherwise, we will open on Monday, December 18th at 8 a.m. by Teresa Parker, CMHA, Interim Chief Administrative Officer. And lastly, on December 15th, Council has made the decision to dismiss Chief Administrative Officer Trish Fraser from her employment with the municipality of North Cypress-Langford. At this time, we are not able to comment further as the matter remains under investigation and we do not want to prejudice that. Teresa Parker, Interim CAO, Municipality of North Cypress-Langford. Very interesting. All right, now we have a sports page. Now we don't have any Neepawa Titans news except that on Saturday, December the 16th, Swan Valley won 7-5 over Neepawa. And on Sunday, December the 17th, OCN beat Neepawa 7-2. Oh dear. But they are still in 4th place in the Western Division. They're only 1 win away from tying 3rd place Dauphin Kings. So hopefully in the new year they can keep their winning status going. The first regular season home game in the new year will be January the 5th at 7:30 p.m. against Selkirk. Will be in town at the Yellowhead Arena. Neepawa Tigers overpower Verdon Bears by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Tigers continue to be a dominant force in the Westman High School Hockey League, or WHSHL, winning a pair of games just before the Christmas break. The first of these impressive efforts was a 4-1 win over the Verdon Golden Bears on Friday, December the 15th. This game saw all the scoring occur in the second period as Rylan Bray picked up his 5th goal of the season on a power play at the 12:14 mark. A few minutes later, Tarek Lapointe collected what would end up being the game winner, shorthanded, making it 2-0 for Neepawa. Verdon replied back on that same penalty kill by the Tigers to cut the lead to 1. Before the end of the second, however, Neepawa picked up 2 more goals as Lapointe scored his 2nd of the night and 11th of the season. Ian Foster followed up with just over 5 minutes remaining in the period to make it a 4-1 score. That would end up being the final results after a goalless third period. NACI goaltender Harley Smith-Belisle earned the win with 30 saves on the night. The next day, the Tigers were on the road to Boissevain to face the Broncos in a matinee matchup. After a close 40 minutes of back and forth between the two sides, a 3-goal run in the third period pushed the Tigers to a 6-3 win. Tyler Cook, Rylan Bray, and Tarek Lapointe scored for Neepawa in the first 40 minutes of regulation. For the final 20 minutes, Riley Davey, followed by a second from Lapointe and one from Ian Foster, secured the victory, Neepawa's 10th of the regular season. Austin Mikulak was credited with the win in goal for the Tigers as he stopped 42 of the 45 shots he faced. Neepawa closed out its first half of the season with 2 games played after the banner and press publication deadline. One on December the 20th in Brandon versus Vincent Massey, who are 14-2-0. The second was a home game on December the 2nd against the Dauphin Clippers, who are 12-3-0 on Friday, December the 22nd. And the other sports article is from the Tiger Hills Hockey League. McGregor Wild win 5-1 over Neepawa Farmers by Owen Devereaux. A pair of goals from Braden Nickel in and of itself was enough for the McGregor Wild to outpace the Neepawa Farmers on Friday, December the 15th in the Tiger Hills Hockey League, or THHL. Nickel's teammates JT Towell, Kelly Rintoul, and Jack Frank all added singles, however, to make the final result a 5-1 win for the Wild. Garrett Rempel had the only goal for the Farmers in the defeat. With this result, the Wild have jumped over the Farmers in the THHL East Division into 4th place with a 5-3-0 record. Meanwhile, Neepawa are now 4-6-0 on the year. Then, in a contest between 2 evenly matched teams on paper, turned out to be not so even out on the ice, as Verdun won big over the Gladstone Lakers by a 8-3 score. The Lakers started the game in great shape as Connor Grunson scored a pair early in the first period. Unfortunately, a short bench by Gladstone with just 9 players and 2 goalies available on this night caught up to them over the course of a 60-minute game. Gladstone was able to hold its own against the full Oil Kings roster for about 50 minutes of play. The numbers just proved to be too much, however, as Verdun pulled away with 5 goals in the last 12 minutes of regulation. Grunston's 3rd goal of the game, scored early in the 3rd, was all the Lakers could manage. This defeat keeps Gladstone in 3rd place in the East Division with a 6-3-0 record, 2 points back of the Minnedosa Bombers, who are 7-2-0 with 14 points, who were idle over the weekend. Then, Carberry's Travis Quinn had a pair of goals and added an assist, but that wasn't enough for the Plainsmen. That's for the Plainsmen, as they lost to Wawanesa 6-4 on Friday, December 15th. Ethan Bjornsson and Jaden Johnson had the other goals for Carberry on the evening. Helen Drysdale has one New Year's recipe: French onion soup. That sounds good. Many writers and poets have referred to the new year as a chance to begin anew, to hope for a brighter future and indefinite possibilities. I want to extend my warmest wishes to you and your loved ones. May this year be blessed with love, laughter, peace, and good health. After all the turkey and trimmings at Christmas, try something simple for your New Year's Eve gathering. Throwing a meal together to ring in the new year doesn't have to be complicated. To celebrate the New Year's entrance, whisk away to a Paris cafe without ever leaving your warm home. We usually think of onion soup as restaurant fare, but this delicious soup can be made easily in your own kitchen. You can use any onion variety, Spanish, yellow, or white, but use sweet onions sparingly. The key is patience. The onions need to be cooked low and slow so that they sweeten and turn a rich brown caramel color for intense flavor. Caramelized onions freeze well, so make them ahead and have them ready for the day you want onion soup. Any bread can be used as long as it fits in the soup bowl. The amount of onions seems like a lot, but they are the star of the show, and they cook down while caramelizing. So French onion soup, she actually uses about 3 pounds or 8 cups of yellow onions, butter or oil, garlic cloves, flour, half a cup of wine like dry white or dry white vermouth, 8 cups of beef stock, a little sugar and salt and pepper, 2 bay leaves, 8 slices of French bread or a baguette, a cup of grated Gruyere or Swiss cheese, and maybe a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese on top. Preheat the oven to 400. Ooh, that sounds good. All right, make pickleball one of your New Year's resolutions by Brenda Osmond. Do your New Year's resolutions include improving your health and fitness and having fun at the same time? Then you need to include pickleball on your list. The number of pickleball players in Canada has tripled over the last 2 years, with over 1 million people now participating. Although pickleball is sometimes thought of as a game for baby boomers, the fastest rate of growth is in players aged 18 to 34. The game has been described as easy to learn but difficult to master. That's what keeps us coming back week after week, says Val Jarama, president of the Neepawa Pickleball Association. It is a great workout, and we're always trying to improve our skills. But most of all, it's a lot of fun. Everybody on the court is smiling. For nearly 10 years, the Neepawa Pickleball Association has looked for ways to increase the number of people participating in the sport and has recently affiliated with Pickleball Canada. Membership includes sports injury insurance that was not previously available, and there is the potential for organized interclub play and skills clinics run by certified pickleball coaches. The members of the Neepawa Pickleball Association currently play twice a week over the winter, on Monday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and Thursday afternoons from 1 to 3 p.m. at the First Baptist Church on PTH 5 North. The days and times of play could change in response to increasing demand. According to Maggie Mabon, the club secretary, all our members would be happy to explain the basics to any newcomer interested in learning. We encourage new players to come and try out. The annual membership fee of $100 for adults and $35 for junior players provides over 50 opportunities to play over the winter. Those who just want to give it a try can attend up to 3 drop-in sessions for a $5 a visit, after which they can join the club through the Pickleball Canada website. The club has a small number of paddles for people to use while they decide if pickleball is for them. After a short break over the holidays, indoor play will start again on Monday, January the 8th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Start now and be ready to play on Neepawa's new outdoor courts when they open again in the spring. For more information about the club, email neepawapickleball@gmail.com. Now we have an ad here to bring in the new year with the music of Long Shot. Ron Nordstrom and Huey McLaughlin. Happy New Year 2024 at Boston Pizza Lounge in Neepawa, December 31st from 7 to midnight. They will have drink and appy specials. Lavitz Construction 2010 Limited would like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a good health and happiness in the new year. We would like to send a big thank you to our many customers over the years and are excited to announce that as of August 2023, we have sold our business to longtime employees Kevin Farrow and Ryan F. Smith, operating as Kalawa Construction Limited. We hope that you will choose to support them in their new business venture. They have a great crew with many years of experience and will continue to provide the great same service. We were fortunate to work with many great customers over 37 years. Thank you for putting your trust in us to complete your building projects. It has been a pleasure to serve you. We couldn't have done it without our dedicated employees, subcontractors, and suppliers. We are so fortunate to have many top-level subcontractors in our area. To you, we extend our thanks and appreciation. From John and Carolyn Lavich. And on the last page, we have festive fun with the Neepawa Figure Skating Club. The Neepawa Figure Skating Club held its annual Christmas ice show on December the 17th. The show was declared a huge success, and a lucky 50-50 winner, Gail Cathcart, came away with an extra treat of $150 that evening. And here are just some pictures of the club members during some of their evening performances. It doesn't give any names. And you don't have to have figure skates to be a member. Here we have the other kind of skates too. Anyways, Merry Christmas. Okay, I was just going to go back to 1973, Looking Back by Caspar Werhan. It goes back 125 years. December 17th, 1898, if you can imagine. Persons entering the rink from the south side are in nightly danger of injury from falling on the steep and slippery incline from the lane to the door. A lady got a severe shaking up at this place on the other night. It would be advisable for the rink company to not only level the ground as much as possible, but also to place a light outside the door that the danger may be seen and guarded against. There was consternation about the post office and through the telephones on Wednesday at the non-delivery of the press as promptly as usual. But when it did make its appearance, all grumbling gave way to commendations of its enlargement and improvement. New subscriptions and more advertisements are now in order. Numerous complaints are made about the number of persons who drive at this season of the year without sleigh bells. What? This is a dangerous practice, as well as being unlawful. Offenders are liable to a fine of $20, as well as being responsible for any damage that may occur. Wow, I'm sure $20 was a lot of money back then. 100 years ago, December 18th, 1923, in Arden, the telephone construction gang is busy these days connecting up the Glenella lines with Kelwood Exchange. Big news. 75 years ago, in 1948, in Brookdale, congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. D. Dobby on the birth of a daughter. Also in Brookdale, Mrs. Smith and her mother, Mrs. Bredmore, arrived here on Saturday from England. 50 years ago, December 1973, Stuart Spafford, our local piper, who is a member of the Winnipeg Centennial Mass Pipe Band, along with pipers from Brandon, Dauphin, and Pine Falls, leaves for Pasadena, California for their New Year's Rose Bowl parade. The Winnipeg Centennial Mass Pipe Band have been accorded the special honor of leading this spectacular parade. They will be piping for 2 days in Disneyland and another day on the Queen Mary. And lastly, 20 years ago, December 22nd, 2003, a group of grade 11 students at Neepawa Collegiate have written to Town Council with concerns the town caters to older people, leaving them out in the cold. The 6 students, who range in age from 17 to 19, wrote the letter following a discussion of civic politics. In addition to limited housing options, the students lamented the lack of jobs available following graduation from high school. In their letter, the students suggest more recreational opportunities are needed, including a place for BMX bikers. Bikers and skateboarders used to clash when both wanted to use the skateboard park. Equipment at the park has since been torn down because it failed to meet safety standards. In addition to lamenting the lack of jobs and housing, the students said they missed their favorite hangout, gourmet pizza, commonly known as Ziggy's. Well, there we have it for this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you next week for the last reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press before the new year. So bye for now.